so here we are. We're right up against the new bridge. They are they're all the way to the midpoint here. We're right on the drawbridge, which is kind of the midpoint, and they're pretty far along. So if you can see what they've got done. You see the end of it here. So up there you can see the end of the bridge. So getting a lot done. So they're within a couple, say they'll put these spans on pretty quick. So they're pretty far. So they are literally, once they pour that red form, they're literally over halfway across the span with the new columns. And they'll bring those spans in pretty quick. As soon as they get them up, they grind all the imperfections off of those columns and then they put them up. So if you look over there, that's a leftover part, an estuary that was created after Hurricane Ian. They filled half of it in. I was wondering if they're going to fill the rest of it in or not, because it definitely puts those buildings more in jeopardy of being undermined. So we are, I mean, honestly, talking to people who know stuff, listening to people who know stuff, basically on Ryan's show, Ed Ryan's show, which is Beach Talk Radio, and listening to people who seem to know stuff like Torgelson, who owns or is the controlling interest of the Margaritaville. I mean, for the amount of damage that we sustained, we are way, according to them, we're ahead of the ball game. There is a lot of new houses. There's a ton of them. Now, a lot of these condos, they're not quite fully open back up yet for various different reasons. They've had to deal with multiple things. They had this milestone inspection, which is an inspection that started because of what happened over on the Surfside condos where they fell. What they're doing is, at 25 years, you have to have these condos inspected by an engineer who gives them a blessing about whether or not they're structurally stable enough for people to be in them. So I'm gonna head down Estero Boulevard for a while, and then I'm gonna get down to where they were working with the beach renourishment, and I'm gonna jump out onto the beach and we'll go see what's going on with what they're working on. So basically what should have happened is by May 1, which is turtle season, the beginning of turtle season, these guys were supposed to be, they're basically supposed to be off the beach. So I don't know if they got some sort of an extension or if they worked something out with the turtle people or whatever. I'm not sure. I know that it would be hard for one of them turtles to get over those big black pipes. So I'm honestly not sure how it's going to play out, but I do want to show you the status, what's on the ground, what's going on the ground behind a bunch of these places. They literally have put so much sand out there. It's just unbelievable to see how much sand they've been able to bring in. And as far as I can tell, it's the same kind of sand that we've had here. So it looks like it's a good deal. So it looks like we got what we needed. So only because it's easy, I want to jump out here. So these guys started working on this house here. They stripped it out and everything and got a temporary staircase put in. And then they started working on it. I'm talking about this house over here. I'll show you real quick. And then I don't know what happened. Maybe they were getting ahead of themselves. Didn't get the permit done yet. But they are They stopped working on it. I don't know what's going on with it. So it's ugly. This is ugly too. Be nice if they clean this up. So I'm gonna go out onto the beach now, and we're gonna head up the beach. Now this beach was not this deep 6 months ago. It was significantly, yeah, it's probably another 100 feet out. Definitely 2 or 3 feet deeper than it was. There was a little estuary right here. So if you're not familiar with where this is Fort Myers Beach, Florida. This is the south end of the beach, and I'm walking my bike. Fort Myers Beach is one of the few beaches, I don't want to say this properly, of the little bit of research that I have done, it's one of the few beaches where you're allowed to ride your bike and you're allowed to have your dogs. So now this part of the beach, you're not supposed to have your dogs this part of the year, because they have bird nesting going on. Hi, how are you? This is going to be pain. This is all soft. It's all fresh sand. All right, so here we go. This is not too bad. So I have a fat tire bike. It's a 3G bike. They make them out of Venice Beach. They have a lot of stainless steel parts on them, which makes them hold up a little bit better to the sand and the salt water. It's gonna be a long bike ride. This is, even in first gear, very strenuous. So all of this coming up, all of this is all new sand. And actually, if you look at that sand and you look at the sand over here to the right is more native. And the sand in front of us, they're trucking it in from somewhere. So they must be getting it from some of the mines inside of the state of Florida. So it's definitely a different color. I know they were very careful about where they mined and where they borrowed the sand from when they picked the company that was doing this beach renourishment, that did like 95% or 80% of it, let's say. Seems like there was 2 different companies working on this. They're very careful about where they got it from. So if you see off in the distance there, you see the excavator still out here. There's a bulldozer still out here. That boat over there to the left, he's most likely, he's either coming in to fish or he's looking for bait fish. The bait fish get caught here. They come in to the shore and then they get caught by the island. There's a big U right here. A lot of dolphins you'll see out here, from here all the way down to the Publix area. Actually, honestly, you see them all the way down the beach. Now that I think about it, I've been walking this beach for a long time. Let's see if the sand is hard enough that I can get back up on my bike. See how the footprints are in the sand? That's because the sand's not compacted at all. It makes it terribly hard to ride a bike on it. So a lot of these buildings, they are partially occupied. A lot of them, they're still waiting on different things, waiting for elevators or fire suppression systems or certain permits, or they're waiting for to get their milestone structural inspection done. And when they do the milestone inspection, a lot of times they give them a laundry list of things that need to be done. And once they get those things done, they come back, re-inspect, and then they give you the green light and they give you your paperwork. So it's a bad time to be in the condos right now. While they were at it, and when I say they, I'm talking about the state of Florida, and they got involved in all this stuff with these condos being not structurally sound. They got inside of it and they figured out that a lot of them are underfunded on their repairs and they got a lot of deferred maintenance. They got a lot of things that should have been done a long time ago, and nobody wants to spend any money, so they don't spend any money. And then what happens is, in the case of that Surfside over there, they, as a condominium complex, they knew there were problems. They just didn't realize how severe they were. And then that whole building just fell. So the state has, for the safety of the masses, has stepped in and said, okay, you know, here you go. You have to do this, you have to do that. So other things that happened, there's a requirement to put away money for repairs, and that was pretty much left up to the condominiums to self-manage themselves on that stuff. And some of them, they've done a phenomenal job. A lot of them, nobody wants to spend the money, so it's like you push it off to the point where you can't do nothing about it. Nobody wants to get an assessment on these condos of 50 or 100 grand or whatever. So what ends up happening is they don't do the repairs, and then things happen. So now the state's involved. They are putting requirements on the condos. At the same time, the insurance rates have gone completely off the charts, and they have the milestone inspection, and they're having a hard time getting elevators. They're having a hard time getting, that's the sheriff going by, they're having a hard time getting fire suppression equipment, and so on and so forth. So on top of that, you know, nobody has any experience with this kind of stuff. The storm companies come in, they suck up all your money and leave you with partially finished projects. Or in some cases, you can't get everybody to agree that you didn't have enough insurance, so they didn't agree, or the insurance company's fighting you. So it's been a chore. It's been a real chore. And there literally are buildings here that are gigantic buildings that are not being worked on at all. And have to wonder about what's going to happen with them. Meanwhile, some of these condos, they've been very aggressively going after it. I'll give you an example. This one coming up here with the teal trim on it. That's Leonardo Arms. They had a straight mess. So they're very proactive. They've been pushing. They got the seawall put in, and now you can see right here, they actually had the water going right up against that building. It was undermining that building. And now they have beach that is 200 and 300 feet in front of the buildings. When that building was built, when they sold the building off to people, it had 200 foot of frontage in front of it, according to local people that are familiar with it. So what happened is, all the storms over the years, you know, Charlie, Donna, Ian, all these storms, a lot of them you've never heard of probably. Little by little, they've been chipping away and pulling out the sand. So now, Fort Myers Beach started this process long before Ian came in to get the beach renourishment done. So fortunately, they were so far along on the process that they already had it underway. When Ian hit, they were able to get right to it. Now here we are, a couple years later. It's like I think at 20 million or 30 million, I don't remember exactly, the contract. And they're almost done. They're gonna have to come back again next year to finish up. I know they don't want to, and I know that they've got pushed back multiple times because every time one of these storms hit, they end up getting tasked to do other things to help out. So, which of course they're getting paid for, but then it pushes this contract out and they don't get done before when they want them to. Now the turtle stuff, you know, oh geez, some people think it's completely and totally unnecessary. Other people think it's completely and totally absolutely necessary. So I got no chicken in this race. I mean, I like to see Mother Nature having her way. So let's see if I can ride my bike here. This is where they've been driving their trucks. All right, here we go. So we're coming up on Leonardo Arms. This is the tail end of their, at least this year's, beach renourishment. So if you look over here, they're still actively working it. You see that water coming up. That's being piped from 5 miles down the beach, 5 to 6 miles down the beach, plus a mile and a half offshore. They've got a dredging rig out there, and they're pulling all the sand from one little area. So that was part of the agreement when they allowed this to happen. And part of the reason is it was the sand was the most similar to what we actually have on the beach already. I'm pretty sure, talking to Dan, that he had a big play in this, getting this done. I know that poor man gets a lot of grief. But I don't know if you guys know him and his wife, but they got big hearts. They're not paid a lot of money for what they do. They take a lot of grief. They really have nothing but the best interests of the island in their mind. So here it is. This is Leonardo Arms. This is the building that they had to build a seawall in front of. And the sea sand was 4 foot down. So they brought 4 foot of sand in. You see the seawall here now. And you look over here, that's the pipe. And then from here, straight out at that corner, looks about 200 feet. So all of this has been filled in. The seawall's here to protect this building. We may never see that seawall ever again, as long as we stay up on our maintenance of these beaches. So Leonardo Arms, I've got quite a few people living here. Every day they're getting a little bit further along. It's looking good. These buildings in front of us, this pink one was due to open like within a couple of weeks when Hurricane Milton came through and undermined its whole bottom floor and pulled out the plumbing. That's pretty much that on this. So, you know, the question is where does all the money come to fix all this stuff? We keep getting hit over and over and over, and I don't know, it's got to be wearing everybody out. So my question is what's the value of these condos now? What are the condo fees going to be? And how easy or hard is it going to be to sell them? We're all holding our breath that this year, that hurricane season is not going to be difficult like it has been over the last few years. So we are talking to a lot of the local people who've been flooded out over and over and over. And I have to tell you that we're all worn out. So at this point, I would still say I'm not going nowhere no matter what. But I am a general contractor, so I've got a little bit added advantage in the sense that I don't have to go hunt for people to work on my properties. We just do it. So the beach renourishment, I'm gonna duck down here through this opening. They were down here for the longest time. And all of these, you look at this building to the right with all the plywood. So all of this plywood that was up on that building, those are new doors they've had put in, and they got the plywood there to make sure that nobody walks out and accidentally falls off the edge of the building. So how far along are they? I'm not completely sure. So this looks completely different. And then if you look down here, there's that pipe I've been talking about. So that pipe has multiple booster stations on the beach. It takes all of them to get that water all the way down here. And these guys have got to maintain this whole distance, bring the sand in, spread it out, the whole, you know, whole kit and caboodle. Looks like I'm gonna get my shoes wet here. That sucks. So there's a bunch of pelicans hanging out. And then this is an estuary that's been created. And this is me getting my shoes wet. All right, I'm in about 1.5 feet of water. Pretty exciting. All right, well, my feet are gonna be cool for a while. I'll look for an opening to get back through here. The Wyndham is right there, and you could see there's one building still standing. It's only about 3/4 of the building. I'd still say they're probably about halfway done. They got all the footers and foundations and stuff like that to pull out still yet. Curious to see if they still use that small machine, or if they're going to bring in maybe rent something for a couple days and pull the foundations out. Not sure. I know that you really don't need you don't really need a huge setup to tear down houses or buildings. So this is treacherous because that stuff is very, very slick. And this is fresh sand, so it's not compacted very good. Thank you. Morning. I would have went around them, but they don't know that. Hi. So this is the Wyndham from another angle, again from the beach. You see it back there. Okay, so they're getting there. They're getting there. Big project. Not easy. Not easy at all. The Neptune, which I think was smaller than that, it's done. It's all cleaned up. It looks great. They already have their development approved. Wyndham, there's nothing charted to go there. Jim, the vice mayor, was saying how important it was that the Wyndham and the outrigger really helped out the Santini Plaza as far as the tourist traffic and for sales and stuff. And he's asking everybody to please spend your money at Santini Plaza whenever you can. It's going to help these businesses survive long enough for us to get some wind in our sails again. So, all right, I'm going to pull over for just a second and put my shirt back on so I don't get burnt. And so it's pretty cool. We're getting there. We're getting there. Talking to Gary, he's a high-end. Been here a long time. Been building forever. I think he's moving north because he's closer to his family. So that's it. Got my shirt back on. Okay, off we go. So as far as beach renourishment, that's it. There's really not much more to say. They still got the same setup all the way down the beach. They've got the booster stations and the pipes. Pipes are running under the ground right here. Morning. So what a beautiful day. So the sand is pretty compact right here. This is pretty native. You know, it's had plenty of time to settle and everything, so you can ride your bike on it pretty easy. Morning. So went out last night, had dinner with one of my neighbors at, let's see, where did we go? We went to, Snug Harbor. Yeah, it was kind of lifestyles of the rich and famous. There was a basketball player, Torgelson was there, in the table next to us. And I guess one of the Dallas Cowboy parents lives here. They were there, so interesting to see that. We had lucked out it's been a while since I really got a good seat there. I normally end up with a seat away from the water, but we was right up on the water. Hi there. So the water, if you can see it through my glasses, they're Costa glasses, they're designed to knock down the glare. The water's about as clean as it gets for here. It's very exciting. I'm taking some of my employees out tomorrow and their families. We're gonna go find a sandbar and do just hang out and be silly. Really looking forward to that. Got away from that. I used to do that all the time, long time ago, but been so crazy busy making these businesses run, just didn't have time to do much of anything. So now it's different. Morning. So people wondering why I'm talking to myself, I think. I don't know if they noticed the mic or not. So we are not even mid-island yet. If you look way off in the distance, the blue buildings, morning, the blue buildings. What's up, fellas? Hi there. Just want to make sure they don't run out in front of me. So the blue building way out there, that's mid-island. That's where the Publix is. You know what? I need to look at a map.